You will sleep better than you have ever slept. You've never been this relaxed. Are you ready to change your life? I'm Rusty Diamond, certified hypnotist. You don't need to leave your house. You can stay in your bed. You can stay in your favorite chair. You just need a computer or your phone. You can get a hold of me. Stay at home. I'll make your life better.
Hypnosisisgreat.com.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Yo, man. Oh, Miss Rusty, what is up, everybody? It is Monday, here in Pennsylvania, coming out of Intercourse, Pennsylvania, here on the Public Access Podcast on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. Thank you for being here. The show is sponsored by Hypnosis is Great because it's my show and I can have whatever sponsors I want. This is one that I know. So I'm going to put over Hypnosis is Great all the time. If you want a hypnotist and you're like, oh, I don't like Rusty, go find another hypnotist. Hypnosis is that great. If you don't like me, I don't want you to say, hey, hypnosis isn't that great. It is. So go find Rusty. And so thank you everyone for being here. And I'm going to bring on my special guest. And my special guest right here, right now is right here, right now. And my special guest today is Marijke Poppema.
Hi.
Hi. I said that too much like a robot, but
I get it. It's a tricky name. Like it's a very Dutch name. So for like English speaking people, it's a really tricky name.
right. Oh, well, yeah. I don't know. I guess if I had more practice, maybe I should try to figure that out sooner, trying to go with getting people's names pronounced earlier on. But then it would kind of take away from the spontaneity of the show. So it's like, okay, yeah, it works. But yeah, thank you for being here and getting to do this. And so right off the bat, so that's your art in the background.
Yes, that's my art. Yeah.
Is that something that you have had for a bit, or is that something new, or what's?
I painted it. I think I finished it summer this year, so it's quite new still.
Okay. And so what do we have going on there? What's the story behind it?
So it's a woman traveling. Like this is a temple, and obviously this is the woman, and she's like looking into the future and like thinking about all the things that she's gonna experience, and yeah, just feeling really inspired and in the moment, just loving traveling and experiencing new things.
So was this inspired by something, or is this kind of like is this kind of what your art is like, or is your art more, is this a different piece of it? And or I guess, yeah,
I
not a
think
good question.
I have like I do paint a lot of women, and most of the time they're like traveling and they are like being in that moment of feeling like blissful and like not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past, but just really experiencing being in the moment. But I also do a lot of abstract work. So obviously this is half abstract as well, but I also have like fully abstract, so no women or animals or whatever. I think like my main inspiration comes from traveling. I've traveled quite a bit. I've spent a year traveling through Asia. That's why the temple as well. It comes
Where'd
back.
you, oh, where'd you go in Asia?
So Southeast Asia. So I spent a month in Thailand, traveling all around. Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Bali, and like over the years I also visited Vietnam and like spent a lot of time in Kuala Lumpur as well.
So what is the point of these trips?
What is the point of
Yeah,
trips?
what are you trying to get from the trips? When you go on these trips, like, some people go for different reasons. Some people go to sightsee, some people go to turn everything off, some people go to get inspired, some people go to do crazy shit, that whatever is, the local thing around there. What's kind of your purpose of going?
um I think like it started when so I studied sport management, and to finish my studies, which is like I've never really done anything with the sports management thing, but I finished my studies in Australia. So I'm from the Netherlands, so Australia is like on the other side of the globe. And I spent time with a surfing school and a kayak company, and I spent 6 months in Australia, and I absolutely loved it. Just the freedom and like the general having um, work not as important as life. You know, sometimes I would have an appointment with my uh, like the person that running the company, and he said like, sorry, I can't make it, I'm gonna go surfing because the surf is really good, can we do it later? And I really loved that mindset.
When the
So
surf is good, no one works.
yeah, so I didn't like, the Netherlands is not like that. We are very purposefully driven towards like making a career and like making the best of your work life and all that. So the balance for me is a little bit off here. But so that was the start of me like going overseas. And when I got back after 6 months, I was like, okay, it's nice to see everyone again, but I can't wait to get out again. So
Yeah.
I started saving together with my husband, and I want to go back to Australia. And my husband said, like, okay, but if we're gonna go there, let's just hop off halfway and just have a look around. So that was like, there wasn't a whole goal with like I'm gonna
Perfect.
travel to like find myself or to experience certain things. It was just like I just really wanted to feel that freedom again, I guess. And so yeah, like it wasn't on, like he needed to convince me a little bit to go to Asia, but in the end I really, really loved it. And it really um it was such a big experience, and I learned so much about myself and about um just having those different perspectives. Like it is obviously completely different than Europe, and yeah, it was great. So
Did you, I mean, so when you went to Asia, did you stick out as how you look? Was that something, or
um
or was it not really much?
a little bit, obviously being white, but they're used to tourists now. But when we were in Vietnam, that was really funny because I just got off the plane and we went into Hanoi, and they like, there was some girls that were like giggling a little bit, and then they were like, can we maybe take a picture with you? And I was like, well, I'm just a regular person. Like they were like acting like I was a celebrity, and it was really funny. So yeah, I did kind of stand out, I guess, sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that happens. Yeah. But and so to go back a minute, so back when you were in Australia, working at, it was, you said, a uh
Yeah,
surf
surf
sh-
school, like a school.
a
They
surf school. Okay.
yeah. So
All
they
right.
had just lessons. So it was a very touristy place. So people would just come for one lesson and learn to surf, basically.
Did you learn to surf?
I did, yeah.
How'd that go?
I wasn't really good at it. It was tough. Like I going there, I knew I was going there, so I wanted to be prepared. So I watched all the videos and it looked like I could actually do it. And then I wasn't as good as other starters, but I am like I don't give up. So in the end I did learn it. But if you would ask me to go in the water now, I would need a little bit of practice again to get up and surf. But it was a great experience.
And the water was warm, or did you have to
The
wear a
time,
wetsuit?
yeah, well, most of the time I wouldn't need a wetsuit. It's like the town was pretty far up north. It was actually the most northern beach where you could surf in
Oh,
Australia.
okay.
Yeah, it was quite warm. Like in winter, it was like the daytime degrees, not of the water, but just the temperature was like 24 degrees Celsius. Like
Okay.
I don't know
That's
the
pretty
Fahrenheit,
nice.
but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So,
So
yeah, keeping you warm up there. And yeah, I had a guy on, I don't want to talk about the show. I had a guy on that was a surfer, the like 2 weeks ago. He was a surf instructor, but yeah. So it was cool to get to hear that. Yeah, like I go boogie boarding sometimes, which I just kind of like that it's like a yeah, being on with like a training wheels on like a tricycle or something for surfing. Um,
no,
yeah,
but it's like a different thing altogether. Like I guess it's just as much fun. And sometimes like some of the waves you can't really catch. Like it's easier to catch it with a boogie board, I guess.
because you're riding on top of the wave. Well, I guess you still are with the surfing for some
Yeah.
parts, unless you're way in there and doing all that stuff. But it looked fun. So then are you back in uh
The
the
Netherlands.
Netherlands? Okay.
Yeah.
You're back there, and are you back
Yeah.
where you were? Are you in a different part than where you started, or did you go back to
Um,
where you were?
so the Netherlands is quite small. So from the top to the bottom, it's like 3 hours drive.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
and like the busiest of the Netherlands is obviously Amsterdam, and that's like in the west. I live in the northeast, and like I live on like pretty remote
Cool.
compared to like obviously the Netherlands. It's really full, like, or not full, but we have like 17 or 18 million in a country that is like 3 hours by 2 hours, so it's really small. um but I did end up like I'm 15 minutes from my hometown where I grew up, so it's pretty close still.
Okay. And so, are you planning to be there for a little while, or do you live there, or are you going
Yeah, I
to?
actually bought, or me and my husband actually bought our first house this year, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, we're planning to stay here for a little bit. But the traveling and the living in Australia, because we also lived in Australia for a year, um, it keeps like sometimes it keeps coming up, and it's like, or do we want to live there or do we want to live here? So yeah, it's tricky, but
So, would you need to get some sort of visa or something to go back there? And
yeah,
is
well,
that
we did go through the whole visa application. It took us 3 years to get the visa to be able to work and live in Australia. And
Oh,
we went at the start of 2020.
so then you got stuck there in Australia during all the lockdowns.
Yeah.
And
No,
Australia was pretty hardcore from what I
yeah. So
remember.
when it all started, like we left in January of that year, and it was like a little bit of rumors about something happening in China. We were actually going to Asia again because we wanted to like travel there for a couple of months. We didn't have our work visa for Australia yet, so we were like, okay, we need to stretch the time that we're not there and just spend some time like traveling anywhere. But then the longer we stayed there, it got like really bad, obviously. And we went to Kuala Lumpur, and we traveled around Malaysia. And then after that, we were like, we need to book a flight to Australia, because it's gonna like we felt that they were gonna go into hard lockdown. So
Yeah.
we got tickets. We would leave like 2 days later, and a day before we flew, we got the message that we needed to self-quarantine. We were actually just flying there, see if we could meet friends and like maybe crash in their garden in a tent or whatever. But obviously that wasn't something we could do. So luckily my sister just went to the town that we wanted to go to as well, and she met someone that she knew from before, and they had a house for sale, and we could sleep in there for like until it was sold. So I said like, okay, cool, can we get the keys tomorrow, because we come tomorrow. So yeah, we were so lucky getting that. And I think 2 days after we arrived in Australia, it was like total lockdown. So no flights in or out. So we were just in time.
So how was that for you?
Um,
I mean,
it
you're
was,
in this beautiful place and you can't leave.
yeah, it was really, really tricky, because it was gonna be the start of living in Australia for a couple of years. We weren't planning on like actually moving there for like forever, but we wanted to live there for like 3 or 4 years. Um, it was my dream, so I had to convince my husband to come as well. Um,
Wow. You had to
so
convince him to go to Australia?
well, yeah, to give everything up and leave the family behind and start something new there. Yeah, I did need to convince him, but so I was very, very happy that I was in Australia at that point. But obviously, it's also like it's the lockdown, and um, like even if we wanted to go back to family, if something would happen, we couldn't. So that was really difficult. And my mind was just, I'm gonna stay here and I'll just see what happens. But my husband was like, I don't know if I want to stay here while all this like COVID is happening. So that was, yeah, it was hard. We did have like a very big property, so we could walk around like like we could do like a 5 minute walk staying on our own property. So
Oh, okay.
lockdown wasn't that bad in that sense. But yeah, we couldn't leave. Like later on it got a little bit easier, but we couldn't go any further than 50 kilometers, which is like not even to the next town.
Right,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Not very far in the grand scheme of Australia.
And no, not
Yeah.
at all.
Wow. And so was there anything that you picked up during that time, like as far as were you doing art down there, or did you find something else to go and fill the time, or what was
For
your?
me
Yeah.
it was easier because I did have art. I started painting 6 years ago, so it was like out of the blue. My company organized like a workshop, and I was like, why not just have fun? So I was doing art then, but I wasn't like really planning it to be my profession. But when I was there, I really wanted to pursue it, and I have like all the time in the world because I didn't have a job, and so I did spend a lot of time painting and drawing and just like learning all the techniques and stuff.
So like with your painting, so uh the back is to the you know,
Yeah,
whoever's
she's
looking at it.
Rebecca Swords says. Yeah.
So how do you like painting faces, or how do you like drawing faces? Is it that something to be able to make it? Because it's like that would have been my thought. Like for if I was doing it, and I know that like drawing faces is so hard. Like I would think, yeah, let's draw the back of her head. That's and draw her from the back. And plus, it's a cool message. Was that something that was going through your head, or do you like drawing faces, or do you think faces are something that isn't really as much art? Because I've heard that too, that like drawing faces is sort of like, I don't know. The art is so subjective. It's hard to know what's what, and whatever I think is something is usually the opposite. It's usually how I determine what art means.
Well, I think we all have like our own perspective on art, and I think it's all valid. For me, yeah, obviously painting someone from the back is a little bit easier, but that wasn't why I painted her from the back. I don't know, I'm just really attracted to shoulders and the shoulder blades. I don't know, I just find them really beautiful. I do also paint portrait. I just finished a series of 5 women from the front. So they're either like sitting or yeah, they're pretty much all sitting actually. So I do also paint from the front, but in this sense, I paint her from the back because I feel like she's taking you with her on her journey, and you can like see it from her perspective, and just it feels more dreamy that way, and I like that.
And seeing it from that perspective, it's the perspective that you don't see often if you're the person looking at the art, which is cool then too, because then it's yeah, it's already going in your head like, why is she turned around? Why is she not, why am I not seeing her face? And then yeah, you're like, okay, well, I never really saw, see the back as much painted, or drawn or whatever, however people art. Um, I don't know. And then, so I mean, that was another question. So for me, um, with art, I have nothing. I have no talent. Um, but now there is AI. Where are you with that? Because I do things like this. This show can be all taken and done by AI, and it can be done better than I could imagine. Making music, same thing. Writing, same thing. Art,
I,
art and AI. Where do you stand with that? How's that work for you?
I've got more light. It's getting dark already. Sorry. Um, I think um, AI can help artists, but I don't think it is not the same. Like maybe AI could paint this, but it could only paint it because it has input from other artists. So it is not a human has touched it. And I think like AI doesn't have feelings, and it doesn't experience life the way we experience life, and that is a big part of what goes into art, is like your feelings and your experiences, and like it is both very personal but also very universal, I think. So I do see like a lot of art that has been made by AI, and it can be really beautiful, but I think it serves a different group of people than people that would like art that is made by human artists.
So do you think that people end up being able to tell what's what, or is there some sort of gray area with that, or is it if someone is trying to pass off AI work as their own?
Oh, that's a really good question. I haven't really spent much time really diving into that part of it. I guess um it will get better and better, so it's going to be really hard to see maybe the difference. But I also believe that part of like collecting art is also about the connection you have with the artist and the way the artist sees the world. And so again, like people also buy like art at Walmart where they just see a pretty picture, and I would say like AI art is in that genre of like just a pretty picture,
Live,
whereas
laugh, love.
yeah, it could be that, yeah. um it is Walmart, right?
Yeah,
Like we don't have that in the Netherlands. I just thought like have
that's
a
nice.
yeah. um
That's a good deal. You don't have Walmart.
but it is like I do really feel that is different with original art, and um yeah, being able to like invest in the story of the artist, it just it gives it so much more story than just a picture from Walmart or even IKEA. Like I know like artists that create art for IKEA, but it is still it's going to be hanging in everyone's home, and it's just a different vibe than original art in my
Like hotel room art.
yeah, could be like I do think some of the hotel rooms like hotels have original art as well. um but most of the time like art is really specific to like you have like general art that everyone kind of like likes or is easy to like. So that would be like a better fit, I guess, for hotel rooms, or if you want to have like a themed hotel, then you would need like more specific art. um but yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this. Sorry.
Where do
Sorry.
you feel it's okay, where do you feel you are as far as art is yours? Do you feel it's more for everybody or more for a certain mindset of a person or more of a certain person, if you could
Yeah, I do.
make a person?
um well, I think my art is, if I look at like my Instagram demographic, it's mostly for women. I guess because of the like the soft and the warm colors, and just the softness of the way I paint. Um and I paint a lot of women, which can also be for guys, obviously, but um I think the message behind my art is about freedom and just being who you want to be, and being vulnerable, and also about feminism, or not as much feminism, but I used to be like one of the, well, not one of the guys, but be more comfortable around guys. And I've learned in my, like I'm 34 now, and I think since my 30s I have moved more into like seeing the beauty of being a woman, so that's also in there. So those are the things that connect, like that is my art, so that would also speak to the same person that is also going through that.
Yeah. And so what do you do with feedback and criticism or praise or anything of that? How does that work with you?
Like positive feedback is always really nice to hear, obviously, and when you hear what art can mean to someone, is really special, because obviously I am creating it, but I'm creating it for someone out there. So it is, to me, it is only finished once it is in their forever home, or like maybe not forever, but like once it has been bought, and the person collecting it creates their own story with it. But like getting negative feedback or not getting any feedback, which is feels like negative feedback as well, it can be really hard. Like I don't mind people not liking my art. Again, it's like very personal, so if you don't like it, that's okay. But for example, I had a market this weekend, and I only sold one postcard, and everyone just walked past, and it can be like I was probably in the wrong spot, but it can be really, really hard to deal with that, because you've spent so much time um just creating the artwork and thinking about it, and preparing and everything, and then when you're there and like nothing happens, it can be really devastating. And then you need a little bit of time to just, I don't know, step away from it and then get back to it with fresh energy.
What kind of place would be a better fit? I mean, because you got to figure out that then too. That's also part of that feedback you're getting of,
Yes.
like, is there a place you would think where, oh, this would do great, would do great if I was at this place? Do you have a place like that?
I guess like for markets and such, I'm still figuring that out. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna go that route.
Uh,
The coming year, I really want to focus on online, and expanding my Instagram, and just keeping my website fresh. So I do my own website and painting and photography and like everything around it. So it is a lot to balance. But I do feel that being on Instagram, like it is easy to find like-minded, like-hearted people. Um, so that's where I'm gonna go. And I guess by talking about the things that I was just talking about with the traveling, and just the way I see life, is how you connect with other people, because people are gonna be the collectors. It's not
right.
yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones with they're with the pocketbooks, with their buying the stuff and putting it wherever they want to put it. Um, have you seen where people are putting your art once they buy it?
Yes, I have. I've also delivered a couple of paintings directly to their house, so then I can actually just see the spot where they're gonna hang it, and they send me pictures. Um, and I sometimes forget how much art is already in people's homes. It is, and like it is out of my mind. Yeah, it's out of my mind. I sometimes even forget that I painted something, and then has been in someone's house for a couple of years. So remembering that sometimes seeing the pictures, it is like on my easel it's nice, like on my painting easel it looks nice, but when it's in its home, it's just, it can completely change someone's house or restaurant or whatever. So yeah, it's really good to see.
And so are you framing them, or are you selling them like rolled up in a tube or something like that?
So so this is like a deep edged canvas. So it's like this thick, like 4 centimeters thick. I don't frame it yet. I do want to do that in the future with some abstract works I did at the beginning of the year, or I finished at the beginning of the year. I want to see if I can create my own like wooden frame around it.
Okay.
Um, but uh, like like I also paint on paper, so that does need to be framed. But I always ask the collector whether they want to have it framed or frame it themselves, because again, it is really personal, even the framing. And so I normally frame it just in a white frame with white plus two, But when you have it on a wall, like a certain wall, it might be better to have like a completely different color. So most of the time I leave it up to the collector to do it themselves.
What happens with shipping when you have to ship a piece?
Um,
What do you have to do? Do you have to go to the store and buy bubble wrap and a box, or
yeah, yeah. So, well, I always save the boxes that I buy the canvases online and they bring it to my
ooh,
house. I always save those boxes, and I use them for shipping. Um, and like when it has to go really far. So when I was in Australia, I shipped a painting to the Netherlands, and I took it off the frame and rolled it up because that's like, um, I guess it's safer as well. Like you can not dent it or like it can't be cut or anything. So
right?
yeah.
And so if you ever are in need of those, because that is one of the more difficult aspects of it is shipping and cost, especially if you don't keep the box.
Yeah.
So if you can go and find an art gallery nearby and get in good with them. I use this when I still kind of do. I haven't done it here yet, which I need to. Um, they get a bunch of people sending in their stuff, and then they keep the boxes and uh, you know, wrapping material, and they'll
Oh,
hold on to it, and they can just go and ask them for like they have to, trash it to recycle it probably.
yeah.
So if you can get in with one of them, that's a good place to get material.
Yeah, that is.
I used to get big old garbage bags full of bubble wrap and stuff like that, and just fill up my. I had a van at the time, and just fill that all up with bubble wrap and
Right.
stuff like that in boxes. So
Do you do art yourself then as well?
no, um, I was selling stuff online, selling like
Right.
reselling stuff. Whenever when the lockdown happened, I really got into selling stuff, like reselling stuff. And so I'd have all these things. I was buying weird stuff that needed a lot of wrapping, like yeah, a lot of little like TV VCR combos,
Ah,
and
right.
those
You
were
need
huge. What's that?
then you need big boxes as well.
Yeah, with a lot of packing material, and
Yeah.
yeah, so stuff like that. Yeah, and just so I had a bunch and just kept. It's hard not having it anymore. I wish I still had it, but kind of found new ways to get around it. But um, yeah, I won't get into those. But yeah. So where are people finding you on online, or where, how can they see your work? How can they buy your work? How can they
Uh,
follow you?
yeah, so I have my own website, which is my name, marijkepoppema.com. So they can go through there, or either they go via Instagram or Facebook, just send me a message. I have a couple of shows, like I had a show in Denmark where I went for a weekend together with other artists. I've had my art up in Germany as well. I don't have anything planned right now. But like locally, I have a couple of paintings in a restaurant in the closest two cities here in the Netherlands. So people can view it in there as well.
Cool.
Um, yeah, so lots of places actually.
Yeah.
I'm also like I'm also on Pinterest, but I need to expand that more. I'm working on that. But it's hard to keep like all the things in the air. I also still work, like I do this part-time and I work part-time for a company. So I have to like balance all my time
How do you balance your time?
So my work is pretty flexible. I only have to go into the office 2 days a week. So that's always on Thursday and Friday. And then on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I work 5 hours. So now, because it is getting dark at like 4 o'clock, I try to work 3 hours in the morning while it's still dark, and then 2 hours in the afternoon while it's still dark, because I need daylight for painting or making videos or all that kind of stuff.
What are the videos you're making?
The videos of me painting, like I always, not always, but I try to film while I'm painting, or like just creating content for Instagram. It takes a lot of time to do that, and you need really good daylight for that. So it's nice, you can actually shift it around. Normally I would work from 7 to 12. So then I have the afternoon to do my art stuff, but now I'm like shifting it around a little bit.
So when you're painting, do you do like just do a, what's it like, just hit record and just put your back to the painting, and then paint and then just let it go for hours, or do you?
No, I do snippets. I still film with my phone. And it's always full of videos. It is so, that's a little bit of a downside, filming everything that you do, because your phone's always full and so many pictures. But so I learned to take just a couple of videos and like a couple of seconds, like maybe a minute, and then I take like the most interesting part from that, have different angles, set it up differently. Sometimes I try and film with my hand and paint with the other, which
How does
is
that work?
sometimes it works because I can like film while I'm moving around on the canvas, but sometimes I'm like painting here and filming the other side of the room because I can't like focus on the same thing. So sometimes you're like, oh, I'm gonna film this and it's gonna be really good, and then you're like, oh, I'm not actually in the shot.
Yeah.
So a bit of trial and error. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, was that something you'd ever want to do, or like just set a tripod down and do like a live
Um,
painting, or would that be too much, pulling back the curtain?
no, I wouldn't mind that, but I wonder how, because nowadays you see like the videos that you see on Instagram are like 7 seconds,
Right.
and to that people are already bored and they want to go to the next. So I wonder how interesting, or like how many people would be really interested in that, me painting, just like being a fly on the wall. I have thought about it because I have this one practice where I do 4 paintings at the same time. They're like smaller paintings, like uh, 15 by 18 or something, like centimeters, so they're not big. And I always put a timer on, so I give myself 2 times 25 minutes.
Oh,
um,
okay.
so I have 25 minutes, I paint on all 4 at the same time, and then I walk away for 5 minutes, and then I have 25 minutes, and it needs to be finished then. So maybe that could be a thing that I could film or be live on.
Yeah, because
But I have really hard time talking and painting at the same time. That's not really, I can't. I just start talking gibberish or don't even know what I'm talking about. It's really like the creating is what they say, like you're more in your right brain and it's more abstract, and it's really hard to then like say words.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why this podcast is a lot of just words sometimes, and
Yeah.
because I'm creating, I'm thinking, and it's it's kind of that way. And so with that, then, so I mean, if you get people to watch your shorter videos and then link your long video to that, then you get those people that are like, oh, is there more? And those are
Yeah.
the people that would be the ones that want to be watching your longer form and kind of feed it into that, if you get to that point of something that you want to do. But yeah, it's all it's hard to do stuff in short form, which is nice. Why I gave you that thing from earlier, that little thing to make the little shorts,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. That's
which
perfect.
which will be nice. A little longer than 7 seconds, but it's so weird to go and try to do stuff that short and such short. And I'm trying to get to that point of being able to do things in a short thing, but I'm not there yet. I'm a old dog, but I'm trying to learn a new trick. So we'll see how it works. But um, Marijke, thank you so much for being on, and I'm happy we got to meet and talk and do this show. And I really enjoyed it. I hope you have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your day. You're welcome.
I really enjoyed talking to you. It was great fun, and yeah, thank you so
You-
much for having me on.
You're welcome. You did a podcast now. Now you can go and make your rounds and do the podcast loop. It's
Yeah.
a big loop now. So thank you so much for being on, and yeah, have a great rest of your day. All right.
You too. Thank
All right. Thank
you.
you. Bye. All right. So that is Marijke Poppema. So yeah, you guys, I'll put the links in there. Hit her up. You know how to do it. It's not that hard. So yeah, thank you for listening here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network, for the Public Access Podcast. And that is the show. Man, boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.